What is up, everybody? Here we are again at Vigo's Court. Final game of the night. It's been a long day.
Final game of the night, final game of the week, even nonetheless. And gonna be wrapping things up. We do have another interdivision rivalry, you can say. Here we are talking about a division where they're both are in the division of 6. We've got Hookers versus Outlaws of the Fog. Both of them, if they want to make a push for the playoffs, they really need to make us. I mean, they need to start a run starting today. Really.
Yeah, I think this is proving grounds time, right?
Hookers, though, they are on a 2-win streak thus far. So if they can keep that going, maybe really build some momentum heading into the back half of the schedule here.
Yeah, I think that would be very good, and I think that's what they're after, honestly. And I'm not sure what's Outlaws' record so far. I don't know that offhand. I don't have
Outlaws is 1-3, whereas Hookers is 2-2.
All right, so Outlaws definitely wanting to take away this win tonight, and Hookers wanting to continue that upward trend, because we do have quite a good amount of teams that are still undefeated.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing too is it's going to be interesting as far as this matchup we're talking about here, because the similar opponents that they've had in the schedule thus far, they've had similar results. They both lost to 6, but they also both beat Immortal Alliance. So going to be kind of interested to see how the two match up against each other today.
Yeah, both teams as well are fairly new, right? Both of them have a lot of newer to comp players. Some have some veterans, but majority is like newer to comp and really trying to make their mark.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I don't want people to see the 1-3 record from Outlaws and think that this is a team that's struggled by any sense. I mean, their 3 losses have come from 3 of our undefeated teams, being Monarchy, 6, and Demise, right? So,
Right.
I mean, really, we're talking about a team that you mentioned is newer, but still has plenty of fight in them. And I'm really excited for this matchup here today, because this is going to be on a map where we had been elsewhere, but now that McMillan Estates is back and playable, we're going to be going to a new map today.
Absolutely. And this is one that I really enjoy. It's a fun map on both sides. I feel it can be a little difficult on Killer, but Ironworks of Misery, 160 square tiles, 10,240 square meters, 8 hook minimum, 13 hook max. You got that double story building in the middle, that is a terrible time waster for killers, right? Like, pretty much if someone runs up there, you better hope you catch them or don't even try.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like the main building gen can be linked into a couple of 3 gen sort of situations, but the main building itself, you mentioned it, you don't really want to spend too much time on. Also worth noting that as far as the killer pool, both teams have used the nurse once, which I feel like would be a killer that might give you some advantage as far as with that elevation as far as the second story, but I don't think either team will burn it there. So I'm gonna be really interested to see what kind of killer selection both teams bring out here, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it'd be a little bit early, I think, to utilize both your nurses.
Right.
It's kind of like, we saw earlier today, right? The Demise already used both their blights and a nurse. So, they got not much left. And I'm pretty sure a lot of teams are trying to place those killers in the most optimal position to get those wins, right?
Yeah, and while we're loading into trial number 1, let's talk about how the Hookers will be looking to put points on the board here on the killer side of matchmaking here.
Yes, absolutely. Killer, that's actually how you can get the most points, potential, right? The potential most points in this tournament. So, league, I apologize. So, first and second hook is 2 points, third hook is 3 points. Progressions are worth 1 less. All right, so progressions don't really want them unless you have to. 7th and 8th progressions are 1 point respectively. And then a 4K will guarantee you extra 2 points, but that gives you the total of 30 I was talking about. Entity kill will be the corresponding hook plus the progressions. Okay, so Moris or anything like that, that's what you get for those. The lead outs, on the other hand, you get nothing. You don't want those, and it looks like we're about ready to go right into this, so we're gonna cut this a little short.
Yeah, and I'm actually excited here because this was a killer that I kind of anticipated to see from the hooker side, seeing as they have not used the Huntress yet. And of course, the Huntress does have the ability to be able to put some damage down at range, which can also be used when we're talking about around the big loop being the main building, or even when we have survivors going towards the upper area. Finding a survivor here, though, relatively quickly, that is actually going to be Shep catching a hatchet to the back there. Really nice first hatchet here by Tijuana. Now going into the middle portion of the map here, Shep is definitely going to want to try and make sure that you can extend this chase as long as possible. The only downside is right now, while you're running from the Huntress, you are actually running into the uncorrupt portion of the map here, which is going to actually lead Tijuana to seeing another survivor here. But with the early down, going to be able to put a hook up here in the middle portion of your map, and now just going to be able to continue to put pressure amongst the rest of your gen work area, knowing that this has to be where you have some survivors at, right?
For sure, and we do see that right now that they are trying to come in for that early save. I don't know if that's the right choice because now the killer knows there's 3 people right here and nobody on a gen, or at least one on a gen. I feel like sometimes you just have to give up that little bit of time and work on some progress.
The one thing that is going to be interesting here, Tijuana is needing to break away from the hook quite a bit there to get the hatch. It's kind of surprised that there wasn't a communication there, as we did have a survivor that was in the jungle gym area itself. But instead, you talked about instead falling back a little bit, trying to get a little bit of the objective work here. We are also going to see a kick over onto this generator here at this point. Again, just starting a little bit of the regression onto it. One gen is going to get done back here on the shack side of the map, but honestly, really good job by our killer thus far to kind of keep pressure on this hook. We actually see a very good dead hard as well to avoid the second hit, but that is going to cause a borrowed time hit to be forced onto Shep very, very early, which makes the decision by Tijuana here to continue the tunnel out process to be a very easy decision. Now throwing hatchets, and we have 3 injured survivors in play right now.
Yeah, I think I think there was a miscommunication there. I think that when they went to reload is when they should have got that save. As you see, it caused a lot of states of injury. So now there's going to be more time they have to waste to recover right now.
And we are going to see back up onto the hook goes Shep there. And that is going to be a second hook for Shep here, meaning that once Shep is removed from the hook there, will be able to be tunneled out of the trial itself here. Also worth noting, after the kick there, we are going to see that very quick regression onto that gen, thanks to that pop goes the weasel. So we are not going to be seeing any sort of regression from a ruin or anything like that, but we are going to see the pop, as well as we're going to see that combined with the deadlock, which is interesting. I feel like very much in the competitive scene lately, it's been an either or sort of scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the deadlock gives you some free information as well as value to give you a chance to pressure a gen that might be, ready to go. We have seen teams use that against killers where they get a couple to a point where then okay, they're just wasting this on that gen. But as you know, they've been all around the killer pretty much the whole time, so there's no way all these other gens are progressed.
Yeah, I mean, you might have oh my goodness, nice little chuck there by Tijuana, able to get a nice hit onto another survivor. 2 survivors currently in play, both with the injured state, needing to find a place for a reset here. And our survivors are doing a decent job, I would say, as far as the generator spread, but we do still have a couple of generators that could be linked together here on this main building side, even though you have gotten the actual main building gen itself done.
Yeah, it's a spread that's not super strong for either side. There's potential for the killer to pressure pretty evenly, but it's not a 3 gen scenario.
And now this kind of next portion is going to be I think where the hooker's killer here, Tijuana, really needs to make sure that they are trying to put as much pressure as possible because we are going to see the reset coming in. And still at this point, the only 3 hooks that you have achieved have all been onto the same player. So that does mean that there's really, quite honestly, it's still plenty of trial left from the Outlaws of the Fog. Again, this is a team that has had to fight against the 3 of the 4 remaining undefeated teams right now. So we know that they're used to scratching and clawing, and I think that they still have the potential of trying to get out of at least 1 or 2 out of this trial. But that's actually a oh my
Oh,
goodness
oh,
gracious.
oh. That's amazing. That's going to be a basement hook, and you definitely don't want to be down there with Babushka Okaf. That's not where you want to be.
Yeah, especially too considering that all of the objective work that the survivors should be working on are all quite a bit away from our basement here. So now our outlaws are going to be forced with the decision. Do we want to now maybe try and move in for a 2-person save, especially seeing as the generator that does have the most progress in the trial has now been blocked by the deadlock? Or the other option would be to leave the survivor to hang, especially seeing as we do see Tijuana sticking around the area and trying to grind through these generators. We do have a survivor though outside all of the window side of the shack here, but it does look like that they are retreating, and I think the 2 of them are probably going to double up on that generator that was just uncovered off of that deadlock.
Yeah, I think that's the play here. They're gonna Polish is gonna go to second no matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well go do an objective. But I'm not sure if if both are there or if they split up on 2 different ones. I think I would split up on 2 different ones.
Yeah, I was just thinking if maybe you had the survivor that was potentially working on that gen prior to it being covered, because it seemed like the timing was very much it got uncovered. The survivor went ahead and retreated back over there, right? And I don't know if maybe that was just an internal clock, possibly, because obviously the survivors have a lot of knowledge and are able to keep track of things like that in the trial. Or if you had somebody waiting over there, maybe you were going to try and grind that one out really quick. But now we do see a survivor moving in here. This is going to be the Yunjin Lee. That's going to be Wakanda taking the hit. Should be able to build the distance needed to get the save. The question is, with the hatchet there, you are going to see the borrowed time hit coming in right away. The dead hard from Wakanda as well. And with Wakanda heading up the stairs first, can't help but imagine that that's because Wakanda was trying to maybe bait out a decisive strike play. Now heading towards the door. The only question is, remember, they were just up on the shoulder, but no decisive strike. And now this is going to be 2 players in the basement.
I believe this is Wakanda's first hook. It was Polished who was on the hook.
You
So
are right. Yep.
I think if he picks up Polished here, he might eat that DS. So I think he's gonna wait. Yep,
Wow.
and then I think this is gonna be a 3-state. And we do see our little friend on the right side. Oh, a Deliverance play and an
No,
Unbreakable.
I think that was
Was
just the unbreakable. No, because it is their broken status there. That wait,
maybe second win?
yo, that second wind with the renewal though, or yeah, the renewal with decisive strike. Maybe that's why you jump into the locker.
Yeah, I think, and we do hear someone right there.
We're gonna need to check that when we get out of this game here, because now I'm curious because enough seconds have passed that Wakanda had to
D
have been the
strike. This is
reverse
gonna
other
be
way
D
around.
strike right
Yeah, it
here.
was deliverance, decisive strike for sure. Wakanda slapping them with the D there, and I think that's actually gonna be all 3 survivors here. And unless Tijuana is able to make a nice hatchet throw from distance, that might be a 3 out here.
Yeah, but you do see the increase in speed, so they might be able to get into a better position to get this hatchet.
Yeah, we do see them making the play around this way. However, I can't help but wonder if maybe we're going to see Wakanda now making their way over towards where the shack might be, looking for potential hatch play. We do see survivors moving in, trying to line up in case there is going to be a hatchet play, but there's going to be the M1, which is going to be a down thanks to the no one escapes death. But I do believe that is a survivor that's on death hook, so it's not like you're really sacrificing too many hook states.
No, but it is nice to still secure the two, instead of allowing that 4 extra points for that third escape.
100%. I think that's why you make the decision. Even though you can probably guess that there's a no one escapes death, you would rather at least rotate and get the one person there, instead of getting the person who has 2 hook states left. So you're giving less points to the other team, and we see that it's actually going to result, as long as the score is up to date, in a tie here after trial number 1.
I don't know how many times we've even seen a tie off of the first round.
Yeah, especially interesting too because we had some of the progressions there too. I think, right? We had at least one. I think we had two different progressions, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't know if we've seen a 14-14. I feel like we've seen 16-16 before, but yeah, that 14-14 tie definitely going to. I think that might be a first time, at least in a little while, to see. And I think a very good job as far as by the Outlaws to come out and even out the score in trial number 1, now going into back-to-back killer trials, right?
Absolutely. I think that goes to show what you were kind of talking about earlier is like how evenly these teams have performed, right?
Mhm.
Both being fairly new, both performing at a pretty good level against some of the stronger teams, and to see them be tied after the first round, that's pretty exciting, right? That just shows that there's good back and forth happening right now.
And now things get a little interesting. We have seen that as far as for the hookers that they have used, I think they only used just the one nurse round, but they haven't used any more of their S tiers. They do have quite a bit of some of your other I would say some of your higher ranked killer. They haven't used Huntress either. That was one thing I had seen from both sides. You could, of course, also maybe see if you're worried about playing around some of sort of like decisive strikes and things, maybe bringing an executioner out. So wouldn't be surprised to even see a Cenobite as well. What do you think?
Um, yeah, honestly, this the way this map is set up, it could be pretty much a- anyone. You know, I don't know if they answer Huntress or Huntress because I think Outlaws used the Huntress, but I could be wrong. Um, so I don't know that they do that. Um, I also,
Oh, you know what? You're right. They have already used the Huntress once, so I don't know if they're going to expire the Huntress this
that's
early in
what.
the
Yeah,
season.
I don't know that they do that. They might because Huntress did very well right there, but um,
Oh no, they
you
haven't.
know,
They have Huntress available.
oh okay, then they might.
Yeah.
Huntress does pretty good here. I think Cenobite would do okay here. I'm not so sure that the size would benefit from his chain hunt. Because if someone picks up the cube and goes all the way to a different corner, you know, there's nothing really you can do about it. If you teleport there, you're giving up pressure somewhere else. Um,
Yeah, or if you get the box and go like upstairs to solve it, right?
yeah. I know we keep talking about him, but Billy does pretty good here. He really does.
Yeah, and I do believe Hillbilly has not been used yet at all, actually, by Outlaws of the Fog. So maybe could be a pick that we see them bring out here. Um, I feel like also here on this map might not be a terrible decision to bring out even like a Nightmare here, which they haven't used yet, or even maybe a Demogorgon.
Yep, a demo would be good. I agree. A Freddy here would be good. Um, I don't know. I don't know if they choose to use any S tiers. If they did, I would say Blight. Blight would be a good pick here. Um, I I don't I don't know that you bring Nurse here. It's not super strong for her. It's a very
It's
wide map.
it's interesting. I have the killer pick like list up so far, right? And
Hmm.
it's interesting when we talk about even just across the board. A lot of blight still left to be played, but Nurse has been played by more than half of our teams at least once here, which is kind of interesting to see. Outlaws of the Fog is a team that has played the Nurse already, so I don't know if we see them expunge Nurse this early in the season.
Yeah, I don't think that we see that. And I believe hookers have also used Nurse.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't think either team gives that up right now. I'm trying to think who else could be in the conversation, right? Who else on this kind of a map would you consider in the conversation?
That's a good question. I had as far as a couple of thoughts. I like the idea of maybe the Executioner coming out here for Outlaws of the Fog, just because again you're able to play around some of the unhooking perks, as well as around some of the tiles. Of course, you can go for those shots between the walls. I don't think you bring out. You had brought up the potential of Billy, and I don't know if it's the best of Billy maps that we'll see on the remaining of the schedule for Outlaws, but it could be one of those picks where you bring that here to make sure you secure a win against a good division play, and then maybe kind of readdress your killer pool list kind of moving forward once you secure the dub here.
Yeah, like I can't see. Obviously I don't see a Trapper Hag. I really don't see twins here either. Too
No.
big.
Yeah.
Pig, maybe, but you have to get someone quick. Oni wouldn't be too bad here. Obviously not a ghost face. Doctor, not really. Trickster, maybe if you're really good with him and able
What's your
to
thoughts about
hit your
maybe
shot.
having a Nemesis here?
So a Nemesis here is not a terrible idea because you get that free information from the zombies, and he's able to get rid of those pallets pretty quick once he's in tier 2. So I could see that.
The only worry is, at least as far as the next two trials, Outlaws has used Nemesis. Wouldn't be surprised to maybe see Nemesis come out in trial 4, depending on what the win conditions looking like for the hookers. But I don't know. Again, I don't know if you burn a killer this early in the season, especially if
I don't
Outlaws
think
the
so.
Fog.
I don't think you waste. If they've already used him, I don't think they use him here, because there's other maps that you could actually benefit from using a Nemesis. Because Nemesis is not as bad of a killer as people may think. He does very well. He's good at zoning. He's good at pushing people off of objectives. So he has merit.
And while we load here, let's go ahead and talk about how the hookers will look to try and build a lead here on the Survivor side.
Absolutely. So Survivors, first and second gen, 1 point. Third and fourth gen, 2 points. Fifth gen, 3 points. So you don't get a ton of points from doing the gens, but obviously you need to do them. You get them from the escapes. The first escape, 1 point. Second escape, 2 points. Third escape, 4 points. And then fourth escape gives you a 6 points just for that alone. Escape with 2 or more hook stages remaining, and you get a bonus point for each one of those players who achieves that. And then, a 26 points available total. So it's a little bit less than the killer. Any more? Go to exclamation rules in the chat if you need to check anything else out. And I do think I hear what I was expecting.
Yeah, we are going to see Outlaws coming out and matching the Huntress for Huntress play here. And going to be interesting to see as far as what Lunaris brings different to the table, what as far as performance wise. We do see the build, it looks like a little bit different. I see a couple of totems laying off in the wake across the way here, so Lunaris might be able to get a little bit lucky depending on which way you're able to push some pressure and maybe keep some of these up. But we are also seeing a aura across the way there. I think that is going to be a little bit of that undying value, which does mean now our survivors are also going to know about that, and that is going to be the undying cleanse that quick.
That's the gamble you make with totems. I mean, with someone like Huntress, I don't I wouldn't be taking totems because you can't protect them really. You just have to hope they last because she's too slow to really do anything about it. But we
Yeah,
do
I
see
think
that nice hit.
Yeah, I think your hope is maybe you can get in and at least keep one of them up. I mean, we do see at least at this point that the ruin has lasted at least thus far. Unfortunately, now Lunaris is going to need to break chase in order to locate some hatches. However, you also locate yourself a Nia here, which is pretty nice. We do see Nia moving towards the TNL over here on this top side of the map, but Lunaris is going to need it. Stop at the locker here, get those hatchets, and now, we're going to see some extra value from that ruin coming in because we're able to disrupt multiple survivors off of gens.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this ruin go here shortly, especially with two injured and them continually being pushed off of the gen. They might opt to look for it and get rid of it now early.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see, especially because you talked about we do have two survivors that are going to be probably looking to try and meet up somewhere to get a reset. If I had to guess, probably on one another while you have your two healthy survivors trying to move in and start working on your objective more itself. We do see, though, Cheryl is going to be found back here on this portion of the map. So, and we do see Lunaris, moving in. Don't forget, we have already dropped this pallet here. So that is one less resource on this portion of the map. Nice first hatchet here. Now moving towards the middle of the map here. And now this chase needs to really be prolonged because we see the reset hasn't come in. So we do have some snowball potential here as well.
That was a nice hatchet over the top of the box right there, anticipating the stand up. We do see the reset come in, and we do see a gen go also through the ruin.
Which does make you think that maybe our survivors are doing that thing that we often see survivors do in competitive, which is just if you can try and stick to the gens as long as possible and then maybe start looking for the ruin afterwards. But I do believe that is going to be the ruin getting cleansed there after the first generator. We do see a survivor moving in for the save, but unfortunately has been located here by Lunaris. So it's going to be taking chase around the big pile of logs, which is going to cause a second survivor to need to move in for the save. But at least working in your benefit is there's no more ruin right now.
Yeah, I think that they are going to try to get their attention a little bit, and this is not a strong area for the killer to really, pressure because there's only one gen here really. The rest are far away. So if they're doing anything right, they should be doing two gens while this is happening.
Yeah, I mean, if you were going to not only lose a hook, but maybe even lose a survivor here, you need to make sure that it does, make sure that it pays off. We are going to see by allowing the progression, you are only giving Outlaws of the Fog 1 point versus the 2, which could be a thought process that is running through their mind. Instead, we do see working away on those generators here. They are working on this top side of the map that we do see with this middle gen here. Do still have a decent 3-gen setup. I think even still a decent 4-gen setup, really, even if you include the generator that's to the right of where Lunaris is looking right now. But, kind of interesting to see that we don't even have two survivors moving in to try and get a save, as we do see that timer now under 30 seconds left.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it stopped.
Do we might have a camaraderie? Do you think we might have a camaraderie play here?
It looks like it stopped.
That would be some pretty big value. It would make sense why our survivors have taken a little bit longer, but two very confident hatches here by Lunaris is going to get you another downed survivor. You are going to be able to trade hooks out essentially here. However, your survivor that would have been able to be tunneled out is going to be able to get completely healed up here. We are going to see you move in towards the middle building here. You are going to get a kick onto that generator, but it is a dry kick. There is no pop goes the weasel or anything like that. We did go with the all-in sort of build with that ruin undying combo, and unfortunately, our survivors have already cleansed both of those.
Yeah, and that's the thing about those kind of totem perks on a map that's as recognizable as this one, right? It's not very often that they stay long. You get lucky sometimes when they're up here on that corner, it'll last a little bit longer. Ooh, that was a close miss. I thought he was going to get him in the door. But yeah, typically survivors know where the totems are on a map like this.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the only map that has worse totem spawns than this one would be at like the Auto Haven like realm, right? Otherwise, I mean, McMillan isn't really necessarily known for giving the best like coverage on your totems, and I think for just the reason that we saw is why we see a lot of people, even still at this point, straying away from the Ruin Undying combo itself. But you have gotten now two separate survivors hooked. You have gotten both of them progressed to a second stage, meaning that this survivor here is also going to be ready to be tunneled out once they are removed off of the hook here. And you do also have a decent 3-gen setup still here on the top side of the map here.
Yeah, I think they're in a decent position, but we do get the save right under the nose with the borrowed time. So the hope here is that the Kate can make it away. Nice duck. That was a very good attempt. I think they go down here.
Yeah, we are going to see the M1 applied there. That is going to be a down. The question is there a decisive strike? The answer is no. So that is going to be our first survivor sacrificed to the entity in this trial here. We are going to be able to see this generator here as well as the generator here in the middle as well. Neither of them have too much progress. And now we are going to be looking at trying to find ourselves another fresh survivor. The Nia would be that indeed, giving you that fresh survivor would be nice here at the late trial. Also, though, wouldn't mind finding the Cheryl because that would be the other survivor that immediately gets removed from the trial as soon as they are put up onto a hook here. But we do see Lunaris is going to need to break chase in order to refill up those hatchets as generator number 4 does get complete.
And I was gonna say there it
Oh,
is. I was just gonna say it. I was gonna say I think Orange is running the resilience. That's why he did not heal, and then it looked like Adrenaline healed him when that final gen popped.
yeah, and we are going to see here, I do believe that was also a No Way Out procs that we had seen there at that door that we had run B Orange away from. So we do have 2 stacks there. I mean, that we're about halfway, probably a little bit more than halfway past the timer on that at this point. But if you could secure it down, especially here close to this hook, that would be nice, especially on somebody like B Orange, who is a fresh hook, which would give you the most amount of stages here. Nice, going to be able to catch the backside of Ace there, and now should be able to bring this survivor far away from the door. Not going to be taking them to the basement, I don't think, but keeping them upstairs on the furthest most back hook.
Yeah, and we see again here that it's almost very similar score from the first game. The way that they are playing against each other, it could be a very similar outcome here.
Yeah, that was kind of something we had talked about, even though we were talking as far as 2 teams with the records that they have. This wasn't going to be wasn't going to be a matchup that we wanted to write off right away. We are seeing playing it very tight here. Currently, we are talking about having a couple of escape points still possibly walking out the door. That would be, I think, 3 points added for the survivors, and I think one of them would also get the additional bonus point for having the extra health stages, so 4 points, while you also are giving the killer 3 points here. So we would be looking at the final score after 2 trials being relatively close. So this thing is going to be a nail biter all the way down till the end for sure.
Yeah, and I think if the score is correct, it's a 1 point difference.
That's yeah. I mean, that's what we're looking at here, and that I mean, you don't get much closer than that other than a tie, right?
Right? I mean, I think it's a difference of a progression, really, right?
I believe that is actually the only difference there, if I am not mistaken. Now, one thing that's worth noting here is, obviously the Huntresses back to back had very similar performances, and I think that shows a little bit of the parity that we were expecting to see in this matchup, as well as it kind of shows how well prepared our teams were on the survivor side for this map as well.
Right. And I mean, if you're Outlaws of the Fog, you really should hope that you have this map pretty well understood. Even though they haven't been playing on it, that was their choice.
Right.
So hopefully they have put in some reps on it, and it shows. I mean, there was a good understanding of where that first hook was in relation to some of those gens. I do think there was a it could have been a little bit more effective um, on that second hook where they had Kate hooked. I think if they were paying a little bit more attention to it, they don't get that save.
And things get a little interesting here because we had talked about a couple of S tier picks from each team already being used. One on the nurse and the blight for Outlaws of the Fog, just one nurse for the hookers. But it is worth noting that we talked about this being a divisional rivalry, and while the hookers have already played, or actually while both teams have already played six and we'll be seeing them again, the rest of their schedule looks rather promising. So maybe do you think we see an S tier here to make sure that you at least get a very important, crucial win in the division?
Um, maybe because I do believe they do face off again. So I don't know. I don't know that you want to use your S tier right now. Maybe, maybe.
Yeah, it does look
With it
like
being a
these
one
would be
point
facing
difference,
off again in week 9.
right? And that will be on Dead Dog. So I would think Dead Dog's a little bit stronger of an S tier map than Outlaws. I think you're safe.
Yeah, but I also think when I think of Dead Dog, though, I do think about how that map also allows you to allow some of your other killers to shine too. So, like, I don't know, I don't know. That's kind of an interesting thought process. The more that I kind of put more together, but we are going to see that when 6 comes up on the schedule for both of them, they will be at home. So Dead Dog and Ironworks. So those are both two somewhat smaller maps. So maybe you can see more M1s kind of become out. I still think though, I think you have to address this as this has to be a must win for the both teams, right?
Absolutely. I think that with it being as close as it is, Outlaws of the Fog have one more go at Killer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they can get the most points, right? So maybe they bring one. I'm not totally sure that they do. I don't know what the rest of their whole schedule looks like, so they might be saving them. I don't know if they're playing like it's six. I don't know if they play Monarchy or Articles or anyone like that. I'm not sure what their schedule is, so I don't know if they use it now with it being so close. They
Right.
might.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting. Now, while we do get our lobby loaded up here, we are at the halfway point. So, in case we had anybody who was not here at the beginning when we kind of talked about the map that we are on here today, let's go ahead and break that down, especially because we do see the McMillan realm coming back into play here in Vigos as well as other competitive scenes. But we are breaking into the McMillan realm here for our matchup today, right?
Yes. Finally, it's the desync has been fixed, so we can start seeing some of those maps that a lot of people love to see.
And
Let's talk about the map. So we are on Ironworks of Misery, 160 square tiles, 10,240 square meters, 8 hook minimum, 13 hook maximum. Again, it has that two-story building in the middle, which killers don't like. I mean, they pretty much. I don't think anyone really went there this game. I know one went up there, but other than that, I didn't. I don't think too many people went up there.
yeah, no, it was while we were chasing the Nia, and that was actually a Nia that almost went down with that second hatchet that caught like the very edge of the doorway as she was running through there, right? So, um, going to be interesting to see if we continue to see our killers kind of straying away from that area. We have seen though a lot of, I feel like, play on that top side of the map.
Yeah, it does seem to be like the log side of the map is not the traffic area. It's the other side on the back side of the building. It seems to be where all the gens are and where everybody's hiding.
And things are going to get interesting here, but we are going to make sure that we have all of our offerings and everything is in line here. And while we load into this trial, let's kind of talk about some of the things that we have as far as rules and balancing here in Vigo's Court.
Absolutely. The balancing is super important and understanding what you can get out of your items. So, bins, yellow items, and add ons only. Only one of each item and perk. The only duplicate allowed is borrowed time, so you can save your friends off those hooks. Banned perks, right? There's quite a list. Built to last, prove thyself, starstruck, haunted ground, lethal pursuer, boons, clairvoyance, as well as all of the new stuff that just came out. Killer uses are limited to twice a season. So that's why they really have to map these out. Survivors are limited to a unique one per team. So you can't have four Dwights, one locker, even though we love to talk about it. Violation is subject to penalties. More on rules, type in exclamation rules in the chat.
And it does look like we're looking at, oh, I was going to say a little bit of a longer loading screen, but now we are ready to go ahead and head on into things. And we had talked about the potential of maybe seeing the S tier killer coming out. We're going to see Q-Top bringing out the Blight here. I think that shows that Outlaws is all in on making sure that they bring home the W against the Hookers here.
Yeah, I think that this is it's a risk, but if it pays off, it'll be totally worth it. Like I said, Blight is decent on this map. He's able to get across it pretty quickly, and as long as they play it right, they definitely can get some points up on the board here with that early down as well.
Yeah, and we are going to see the early down. We did have a player trying to move in for the pallet save. Unfortunately, though, not only did you not get the pallet save, but you actually went ahead and burned that pallet as well. Would not be surprised to see Q-Top double back to try and break that thing, but actually trying to track down these scratch marks here. And it is going to be going towards the back down towards the bottom side of the map. You have been able to locate another survivor here, but we are going to see it kind of looks like a double bag. I think you're just kind of patrolling your area, making sure you're putting some pressure onto these gens here, making sure you aren't seeing too much progress getting done, as we do still have corrupt intervention up at this point, and it looks like we still have ruin. I think that's a ruin up at this point as well.
Yeah, that was a ruin. As soon as you let go, you saw those sparks pop up. It's going to be interesting to see how they come back from this, because right now it does not look like they're doing much progress because we keep seeing people over here.
Yeah, it looks like we might be seeing our survivors here from Hookers trying to go all in, trying to knock out two of these generators, as well as maybe even trying to locate the ruin. We do see Q-Top now moving towards this portion of the map, able to locate a survivor here. I believe that was the Kate, if I am not mistaken. Now moving to the middle of the map, continuing that chase here with that Kate here as well. And this is kind of tough because we are, actually getting the hit through the pallet. Very, very unfortunate. However, with the save coming in, while we do still have some lethal rushes left, very easy decision by Q-Top to come back here and finish this tunnel out process, seeing as Nia is now on death hook, jumping into a locker. Now the question is Ashley, the survivor, with the decisive strike, slaps him with the D, going to be able to build a little bit of additional distance thanks to the nice firecracker play as well. However, Q-Top, very good job with the tracking and a very good down.
I was gonna say, D strike on against a blight and a nurse, they don't really mean anything. And
Yeah,
we do see the Tinker come in.
yeah, kind of interesting to see the Tinker. I think this is I think we saw Tinker earlier today in Vigo, so I think this is the second time. But interesting to see that play coming out. I feel like Tinker is a perk that you don't really normally see in the competitive scene. Also interesting seeing it on the Blight, as you can kind of hear the Blight off in the distance coming close to you because of those bounces off of the environment, right?
Yeah, but you'd be surprised at how sneaky he still is. Like sometimes if you're not paying attention, he will catch you off guard.
And we are going to see another Tinker Prox. That's now three generators now here with Tinker Proxes. So our Survivor Squad has been very efficient as far as spreading the pressure, but one would hope so, right? Seeing as we have lost a Survivor and we have yet to see a generator pop, you would hope that we are getting relatively close to seeing multiple generators here at once. There's the first one with the other one. They're getting that Tinkerer Prox once again. But we are going to see another fresh hook. This is going to be fresh hook number 2 here onto the Kate. And now Q-Top really in control, finding another survivor here as well. That is going to be a swing into a miss onto the Cheryl there. But Cheryl is the only survivor at this point left in the trial that is not injured, right? So if you can get the injury state there, then you could still possibly end this game very, very quickly here.
Yeah, and as we just saw, they did remove the ruin, but they do have pop in hand. So he still has a lot of pressure, and that's a nice bait at the pallet there. But unfortunately, you still go down. I don't think they were ready for that kind of an angle.
Yeah, that was pretty tough to watch, and we are going to see the orange now on the ground here as well. And I like this move by Q-Top going for the pressure. Now going to see the scratch marks over here, and now going to be able to continue this chase. We are going to see that Unbreakable now coming into play here, which does mean that is one less perk that we have to worry about later in the trial. And I think after the breaking of this wall here, wouldn't be surprised. I thought there was a hook there in the middle. Wouldn't be surprised to see you go ahead and put that survivor up there. But instead, it looks like maybe trying to go for the gold and go for the slug here and get the 4K at just 2 gens complete here on Groaning Storehouse. That's pretty impressive.
Absolutely, and I mean, I would hope to not see anything less from a blight. I mean, you don't wanna burn an S tier and not have an impressive performance with it.
Yeah, definitely want to make sure that you're getting out your worth out of it for sure. Now taking the chase towards the top, also able to get the hit onto the ace through the dead hard. And man, Ace just cannot seem to catch a break. Now going down there. Now we're going to try and go ahead and continue with the slug here. Yet again, Q-Top honestly being relentless right now, really making sure they're bringing the pressure. Not going to be able to get the hit, is though going to be able to remove that pallet out of the trial here relatively quick, and now going to be going for the pickup onto the ace
Mid air?
mid-air. That was style points right there.
I've never seen that happen. That was awesome.
That
But
was
I
a
have seen the blight lately with the speed add-ons utilizing those three bounces really to propel themselves, right?
yeah, almost gives you that nice little slingshot sort of animation ahead wherever you're going, especially if it's someone's like somewhere that's relatively close that you know that you don't need all 5 rushes to get to anyways. You do the 2 quick off the wall there so you can at least get to the location a lot faster. Now we're going to see playing things patient here is Q-Top, zoning out our survivor, making sure that his back is towards the hook while breaking the pallet there. That way we can't have somebody sneaking right behind and getting a cheeky easy save here, making sure that our survivors are really having to work for everything here. Now a down onto the Kate again as well. And man, just again can't help but mention just the very impressive performance by Q-Top on a map that I wouldn't say is the worst for Blade, but definitely isn't the strongest either, right?
No, they're doing a great job with their movements and their bounces. Literally putting the blight where they want pretty much every second. And it's really showing because, as we said, only 2 gens have been able to fall, and one's dead. One's on Deathhook, I believe. 2 are on Deathhook, if I remember correctly. Um, oh, he's doing a very good job. And B Orange has been on the ground more than he's been off of the ground.
Yeah, we have seen spending a lot of time in the dirt for sure. And honestly, that's really been what's allowed Q-Top to be able to continue putting down a lot of pressure in this portion of the trial. Now going to be able to remove the Kate from the trial here, going over towards this side, going to be able to locate some more scratch marks here. Not going to be able to get the hit with the last lethal rush there, but I think with the scratch marks here, we might even have two survivors. Now coming back towards this corner though, so we can apply that pop goes the weasel, regressing back the generator back about 20% worth of, or 20 seconds worth of progress. So 25% instantly there. And now probably just going to be brute forcing this pallet down from Cheryl. Oh, plus 10 wood to the face.
Yeah, they're doing a very good job, and we mentioned this in the last trials, right? That this side of the map wasn't really pressured, and now we're seeing this side of the map being immensely pressured.
Yeah, and we are going to see now Q-Top coming to this portion of the map thanks to that alert to the Tinkerer there, which is going to result in a down onto B Orange here. We do also have scratch marks from our Cheryl, who has been playing rather patient and also very, very safe. Now going to be another plus 10 wood to the face. Cheryl doing a very good job, honestly, in Chase, making sure that she is being very deliberate in those pallet throws and making sure that not only are you putting the pallet down to create the distance, but also by getting the stun and creating that animation lock, being able to build even more distance, right?
Yeah, I think they're up to about plus 60 with the face right now.
Yeah, they have definitely had a lot. It's crazy though. Even with that, Q-Top has been able to continue with the tracking and continue putting the pressure down across the map elsewhere. Whereas now it is literally just the Cheryl that is left, and another perfectly timed pallet drop. Q-Top might be feeling good about the results, but man, sometimes those pallet stuns just gotta start getting old, right?
Yeah, I mean, and to dodge right underneath that rush right there, and oh, and get the pickup as well. I mean, there we go. Orange back on the ground. They're not letting him do much because usually Orange is the one to annoy the killer, right? We've seen that in the past. He's usually the one harassing the killer.
Yeah, B Orange is definitely seems to be the one who seems to be your big player on the survivor side. Not sure if he's probably they're also your shot caller, but by putting them onto the ground and leaving and rendering them, I wouldn't say useless, but not very useful either, has definitely again allowed Q-Top to continue to put out the pressure, continue to build up this lead. Now we're talking about a 13-point lead, at least as far as this point, and that's still before we get to the eliminations portion, and that's where we might be still not allowing our survivors to get any more points because it's looking like we are not going to be seeing any more gens complete. Yeah, there is going to be the down there. You're definitely going to want to make sure that you get back over here across the map to find B Orange before we have the bleed out, because as we had talked about heading into trial number 2, if there is a bleed out, that would result in 0 points here, and that timer is ticking.
Yeah, and it does look like Orange is making a attempt at an escape here. So I wonder if they do find him because he's about to die. If he dies on the ground, he's going to deny them a lot of points. And I think he's going to die right now.
Yeah, and that's pretty tough because that is a survivor that has been on the ground. You talked about multiple times and you
Yeah,
couldn't
see
even
that
secure one stage. That's tough.
they just lost a ton of points from that because keeping him on the ground that often it didn't it I mean, they did a good job, but it did starve them of those points.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because the that would have been some very costly points here. Now you are going to get a first fresh hook here as well as 2 progressions in the end game trial here, so a 5-point elimination right there to build your lead. I do believe that should be bringing it up to a 20-point lead as long as our score is correct there. And if that is the case, having a 20-point lead heading into the survivor side, I believe that means all you got to do is come out and complete all the gens.
Yeah, I think so. What Hookers needs to do here is secure the 4K because they they lost the 4K. They had it in their hand and dropped it, you know? So, I think that's the only way that, Hookers can come out on top is to get a 4K.
And it's interesting because we had talked about heading into just this matchup within itself. Hookers, had a rough start of their season. You take the loss to Six, you take the loss to Entity, but then they've won two and would have liked to be able to continue this pressure here. But now you're going to be needing a darn near perfect trial number 4 in order to take down the Outlaws. Outlaws, though, gotta say, you gotta be feeling good. A rough start to your season, but this matchup right here, this could be what really turns things around and has you feeling good moving into the back half of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, to put on, like, I think bringing their S tier is what is probably going to win them this game. 'Cause it was so close otherwise, and that just shows, realistically how much stronger S tiers are, right?
Right.
Like it's a whole nother level of play that you have to be ready for, and I think that was a smart choice on them to bring the blight there because I mean it did give them that 20-point lead.
So, with that being said, and with the fact that we are heading into trial number 4 here, do you think we see Hookers try and go all in with an S tier killer here, knowing that you would need a darn near perfect game nonetheless, even from a S tier killer? Or do you think you see them try and save those S tier picks for later in the season?
You know, I know that teams have game plans for down the road, and where this game is at, I don't know if you change it because let's say you bring the S tier,
Right.
you don't get that perfect game. Is
Then
it
you've
worth?
wasted S tier pick, right? Yeah, no, I think that's the really tough decision about where you're at right now, right?
Yeah, I think that's gonna have to come down to the team really talking together and making a mutual decision on it.
And it's going to be tough because, keep in mind, we had talked about this is going to be a matchup. We will see these teams face off against each other again. When did I say week 9?
Yep. Week 9.
And that time will be on the Dead Dog. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like maybe if you can bring in, I'm trying to think about what puts you in the best place of success without burning like a very, very popular killer. So I'm wondering if maybe you have a very good understanding of Cenobite, maybe even take the risk of coming in with Lethal Pursuer, which generally you don't do in comp because that's kind of a waste of a pick. But of course, that gives you a little bit more information to be able to get the box, start your chain hunt, and maybe just keep the pressure down from the word go and go for an extra slug early game. Maybe that puts you in potential, but I still don't even know if I don't know if that would be enough. It's going to be interesting.
But also keep in mind, lethal is banned, so they're not going to do that.
True. I was just testing you to make sure that you knew the rules and
So
everything.
the thing that I know right now is that hookers have both used nurse and blight once.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know if they choose to do it now to try to secure this win, or just continue with the plan that they had previous and hope for the best.
Do you think?
I mean, I think the way that game went, right, there was not much of a point game on the survivor end. So if they do use an S tier and can mirror that, that might give them a chance to punch this.
So, what do you think then, as far as? I mean,
They only got 2 points that round, right? One for each gen.
Yeah, just for the two gens, and that was it. And I mean, I guess you could say they scored points in the sense that you had the bleed out of a fresh hook survivor, so you
Right.
saved those
Stole
points. Right.
So that made it so what? How many points is that? 5?
Well, I mean, if it would have been a fresh hook, it would have been 5 because of progressions end game. Yeah.
Yeah, so you starve them 5 points, so they only got 25. And if you can, I mean, I don't know, maybe 25, but if you can get the full 30, you know, um, that would put you in the winning spot. Even if you get, let's say you get 23 points and they get two
Right.
gens, you still win.
Yeah. Hmm. Going
I think
to
I think they really have to consider their win condition here, and like knowing that it's attainable, right? If you can stop them from doing gens and kill all of them, that can give you the chance to win.
now I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill by any stretch of the means. But we do see that this is the first time going into trial number 4 that Outlaws of the Fog have had a league like this. And I can't help but notice that there has been a particular player who hasn't played for them today. Do we think that there's
A coincidence there?
any sort of like a correlation or a coincidence that we haven't seen TTV Vigo's court and the fact that they're up by 20 going into trial number 4? Or
No, maybe it's because they're in their ear coaching them through it.
oh, so it's like the shot caller that's not on the field.
Yeah, backseat gaming.
Okay, I see you. I see you.
So let's say for S's and G's, right, that they get 2 out early, right? So 2 fresh hooks, 2 progressions on both, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? That's 5, 10 points. No, 4 points apiece, right?
Right.
Oh, no, progression 2. So
Five.
that'd be 5 points apiece. That gives you 10. And then let's say, yeah, that you can't let them finish the gens. Because
You could
5,
let them
7, 8, 9.
finish
That's
2
9.
gens because you can get the slug at the 4K. You'll have, if you get your progressions right, you get your point for the 7th and 8th progression, plus the additional 2 points for the 4K. So I guess technically you could let them get 3 gens, but that's if you're getting like all 8
Perfect.
progressions, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like the perfect slug game.
This is going to be, I mean, it's attainable, but it is not going to be an easy game. And I would think that the survivors are. I don't want to put ideas in people's heads, but I would be abusing the hell out of that middle building right now.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like if you're the survivors here, you just stick to the gens that are around the building, right? Because you only need a couple to secure the victory. So if you can get the middle building done and one of the ones by the stairs on the backside of the building, I mean, why not stick by your strongest loops for sure?
Yeah, because I think that if they leave that area, that gives them the opportunity to go down. And that's not what they want. They need to just, if they can finish all the gens, I think that's it.
So do we see the Sluggin Machine twins come out here?
Um, no, I don't think so. Just because it's such a big map
Yeah.
that Victor downing someone on the other side doesn't mean anything. By the time Charlotte gets there, I guarantee they'll be up.
Right.
If it was like Coal Tower, definitely. But this map is so large that I think that's one of the things twins don't gain from on. They can't effectively pressure both sides.
Yeah, I am not sure what the pick is here, but I do know this that luckily we aren't going to have to wait too much longer in order to find out. We do see our survivors here starting to ready up across the board. I am still really hoping for they've that hookers have got a Cenobite main sitting in their back pocket is about to come out here, know exactly where this box is, and just has chain hunt going from the beginning and just is a slugging machine from the word go.
I mean, that would be ideal, right?
Yeah.
I like I said, I think it could work, but if they get the box and go in the middle building, you're done.
Yeah. But we are going to see we have all of our offerings there. Before our last trial, we had talked about kind of some of our balancing and rules and things. But, although some people believe rules are meant to be broken, they're not. So let's talk about what happens if they are.
Yeah, don't break the rules. Matches with penalties, they may be played out, restarted, or revoked. Okay, you don't want that to happen. That's wasted. Two of the same survivor, ban perks, items, add-ons. No, -5 points and a possible restart. Okay? Want that? Right, wrong map. Definitely don't want that. -5 points auto restart. Harassing the ref, bringing players not on the roster, etc. -10 points and no restart. Using exhausted killers, -10 auto restart. Playing the game 1 minute for every minute over 5 minutes. And for more on rules, exclamation rules in the chat. And we got this really nice loading screen.
All right. So hear me out here. Pinhead, Corrupt, Ruin, Undying, along with the oh no, well that's not what we're gonna get. However, I believe that chat should be very thoroughly happy as we do see the Legion coming out here.
I think this is an interesting choice. The ability to, cause a lot of pain. I don't know that this might just be a toss away. Kind of
Yeah,
like,
I feel like looking at it, it's more for possibly more of like, hey, we know that Vigo's court has been asking for this, and I don't want to get rid of any more of my S tier killers. We talked about these two teams will be facing off again later on, and you had kind of talked about heading into this trial, right? Last thing you want to do is burn an S tier killer, have all but a perfect game. Let's say fall 3 points shy, and then I've burned an S tier killer, right?
right. That's the worst case scenario. We do see that if I'm not mistaken, we don't have corrupt.
Yeah, very interesting to see here. We see B Orange coming out on a killer that is definitely not known for being able to output a super ton of pressure here, but we are going to see that you talked about no corrupt intervention. You've given the survivor squad access to all 7 gens right off the bat, and I don't know if maybe that's because we're trying to maybe make a play late game sort of situation. I mean, we don't even have Ruin up to kind of help right now either. So definitely going to be a very risky play, very risky strategy. We're going to have to see if it pays off for him.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, we do see them miss their power hit right there, which kind of is not obviously what you want. Then you have to wait for it to start up again, and that takes a little while. But they are doing a pretty good job of keeping tabs on the survivors, and forcing them to come back into them, as we saw twice already.
Yeah, B Orange has definitely been manipulating the tiles into their favor, able to get the hits, around pallets and things like that, and especially around some of the bigger tiles. Even should be able to get the hit before the window there, and that is going to be another down. It has been a while though since we saw the last generator pop, so would not be surprised to see a second generator popping as we talk about it right there, and even seeing a third popping off not too shortly after.
Yeah, I think that being able to have access to all the gens from the beginning, especially in a pub setting, gives them so much. We do see that Legion button coming in effect to break the pallet with the jump.
Yeah, we are now also going to be seeing that kick onto that gen is going to be meaning that B Orange is going to be able to get additional regression with these hook states here, but that is going to be another 10 wood added to the face of the orange and a little bit more distance added here for the Michaela here. Working our way through this portion of the map, also seeing the save coming in across the way as well, and now popping into our power. But you get the blind as well to knock. That's a really, really nice firecracker.
Yeah, that was a very, very well timed firecracker. And not much he could do about it because I'm not even sure he knew that they dropped it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't hear it or anything like that. And there is going to be the down now onto Q top here. I believe that's now another fresh hook here. So B Orange is doing a very good job as far as spreading their pressure. As far as the initial hooks here, which could be working in your favor if you were able to start slugging here. But you would need to start slugging literally just now. I believe that generator that we just walked by was actually injured from Jolt, if I'm not mistaken, what used to be Surge, which is kind of interesting to see that comboed with the Pop Goes the Weasel, because I see that sometimes you get exactly what we just had, which is your Jolt damages the generator before you can get to the Pop.
Yeah, and that's an interesting. Um, I know it would be a little overpowered, but I always hated that jolt happens and then you can't kick it. Um, but it's probably for balancing issues. I think it would be too strong to do that.
We are going to see, though, again, B Orange doing a very good job with the moonwalk, hiding the red stain, and with the good mind game around to be able to secure the down inside the actual jungle gym itself. We do see Jane Thickums coming in for the protection hit. However, not going to be able to buy the time enough for the actual wiggle off there. We are going to see what I could probably assume is going to be a deliverance play there, as it is going to be a broken status emblem next to the name, and it seems like the save came in at pretty well as Bjorn left the vicinity.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
No.
He's not using the Legion button as I would anticipate. Because all these pallets he's dry kicking, he could easily just jump them. But instead, he's choosing to kick them and not inflict the injured state on an injured player.
Yeah, especially because too we have not seen the orange be able to use your power to get multiple statuses each time that you use the power, right? It's been very much just a M1 killer sort of run. We're actually going to be seeing the 5th gen getting complete across the way. I do also believe that is a no way out getting procs across the way as well. That is going to be tough if that is indeed the case, because that's 4 stacks of no way out, meaning that there's quite a bit of time here left until our survivors are going to be able to leave the trial. And if you notice on the right side of your screen there, you will see that we have a haste status, because no one escapes death except for you, because you made the jump through the window just in time.
They go down here though. Now they know that it exists, so they're probably gonna go look for it. The other 2 survivors.
Yeah, pretty tough too, because now at this point we're about 3/4 of the way through that no way out here. So even still, if the survivors wanted to, still can't be heading out the doors just quite yet. You had mentioned potentially trying to find the totem here, but you are going to see that actually when B Orange is looking around, you can't see the totem, and that is because it is high up into the sky, as we are going to see B Orange coming and trying to find, but unfortunately, Jane Romero was able to find the totem beforehand. But you are now going to be able to get a couple of different status effects as far as with the mend, which is going to give you a little bit of map awareness. And also, that does mean with the mend bar, you can't work on the doors either, right?
Right. It won't allow you to until you mend. But we do see Q-Top already open the door on the other side. Now they just have to get there.
Yeah, we do see that Bjorn just did a pretty good job as far as trying their best to kind of zone this survivor out a little bit. I do believe this should be Bjorn being able to secure the down, at least onto this survivor, even with the dead hard there, not going to be enough as far as distance. And now you are very, very far away from the door. Actually, kind of interested to see the decision making here from Bjorn. You are sticking around. You have been able to locate a survivor who was trying to finish the self reset with the med kit. And of course, the med kit does give you some very valuable information while in chase for those who maybe don't know, with the fact that it does disappear when you are going for the fast vault. So that could be giving V Orange a little bit of valuable information as we are heading towards the window there. And that is going to be another down. And you have two people down quite a bit away from the door. And really, honestly, wouldn't be surprised to see our survivors just take the two out at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, for a Legion on this map, this is not a bad showing. It's not enough to bridge the gap, but it is not a bad showing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Obviously, are not going to be able to bring this back as far as with this Legion performance, but we're talking about right now at 7 stages. If you um, are able to track down Wakanda, I believe that's 2 more stages actually there. So would be having a rather strong performance total hook wise, but yeah, unfortunately, as far as for the hookers, Outlaws of the Fog had just done a very, very good job through the first 3 trials establishing this lead. I mean, even with the bleed out, I mean, for all Bjorn is worried about, you can crawl out the door. They've done their damage and have done a very good job here. But worth noting, this is only the second win for Outlaws of the Fog, but they're kind of through the tough part of their schedule. So maybe, just maybe, this is the win that propels them to try and make a push towards the playoffs.
Yeah, very well could be. And we do see Orange trying to locate Wakanda before they can, crawl out or bleed out. I think they are gonna be by the shack on this side of the map because the way he went, I didn't see any blood, so I think that's where they are.
Yeah, I think that's probably somewhere around that area is where we're actually talking about. But I do think, what Bjorn is doing is definitely the safest play. And it's best to just kind of stick to
It'll be
your
an
normal
entity kill.
routine. And it will be an entity to kill, which does mean if we were scoring, if this was where you needed this sacrifice here, those points would not count. Or no, if
Oh,
it's an
they do.
entity kill, it would count because the entity kill would be before the bleed out. But we do see the timers are relatively close together.
I think he's gonna be close. I wonder if he's just kind of just gonna, if they get to the door, let him go, kind of, because he's not looking at the other.
Yeah, I am not too sure here, but we are going to see the last little bit of this thing counting down. Talk about a really good matchup though to wrap up week 5 here. And
Yeah, I
you
think the
know,
timer is gonna go just before the bleed out. It's gonna be so
yeah.
close, but the timer's gonna go.
Yeah, it would be an entity kill though. So yeah, it would indeed actually be a full kill plus the progressions there if we were talking about if that score needed to go through there.
And I mean, that was a good game all around. I really do think that that blight game turned the tide. I mean, that was a really really good showing for a Legion.
Yeah, I think what we had seen there was, Outlaws was able to come out. You even the score in trial number 1 on the survivor side, which is kind of what you want to get the closest to. Obviously, ideally, you want to take the lead, but it's very hard to do on the survivor side in trial number 1. So if you can get it as close to a tie, if not tie it the way they were, and then you just slowly extend the lead through your killer games, and then made it to where, I mean, really just kind of got to do your victory lap in trial number 4 there, right?
Yeah, honestly, I think I'm not sure how that round scored independently, but I feel like that was a good round for teams.
Yeah, I mean, we do see as long as the score is correct there, it looks like the score was the lead was taken down to 15. So you're able to close the gap there a little bit. I did like seeing the Legion. Um I'm sure the crowd here at Vigo's very much enjoyed it as well. They're always yelling Susie or Riot So at least
Let's just see a
there's going to be
riot.
no riot here today. So you love to see it.
Yeah, that was a very good. So if we look at the rounds, 14-14, 14-13, 21-2, and then 13-18 with Hookers on top that last round.
Yep.
So it was definitely that Blight game that sealed the deal. Everything else was very close.
And I mean, definitely like the value that you want to get out of a Blight game, right? So,
Right.
going to be really interested to see what kind of momentum they build off this. But it does sound like we have Q-Top ready to move into the interrogation room. How are you feeling after that game there, Q-Top?
I'm feeling good, Chief. How are you?
I'm fantastic. That was honestly really fun to watch, and I'm sure after some hard fought matches the last couple weeks against some of the best teams in the league, being able to come out here and pull out the dub definitely has to feel good, right?
Oh, of course. A win always feels good, no matter the circumstance. So they're all really happy back there, and I'm happy as well. So we're chilling.
How was it, coming out first two rounds being so close, and then did you feel the pressure to use the blight, or was that part of your plan?
The plan going in originally was kind of see how for the first two games go, and we had a plan if we were up by a lot, what I was going to end up playing, and we also had a plan um, if it was a close game like it was. But the plan actually wasn't to go blight. It changed last second. The plan leading up was completely different of what stronger killer we were going to use, but we knew that I was either going to be playing a stronger killer or a weaker one, depending on how it all went. But the plan definitely wasn't blight up until today.
It panned out. I mean, you guys only allowed 2 points that whole round.
Yeah, I'm way more confident on my blight than I am with the other killer we were prepping to go. So I just figured with it being that close, I could probably go in on blight and seal it, and just make it a confident win.
How did you feel on that last round?
Interesting. You don't see a lot of legions in comp too much. So when I saw legion, I was kind of like, oh, sup. It could have been better, but we were just more focused on just sealing the win, getting what we needed, and getting out.
Is there a particular team or just a week coming up on the schedule now that you got the monkey off the back, you got yourself back, you got yourself another dub?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a team coming up on the schedule that you guys kind of have circled as really looking forward to playing?
I don't know about them, but let me look. Hang on. To be honest, I wanted to play against Remedy, but we don't have them on the schedule, so it's fine. 6 is always fun to play against. I've played against 6 a couple of times. That'll be interesting. But other than that, not entirely. I'm just going week by week with them, just chilling out.
Oh, I remember what I wanted to ask. So with the secret sauce, was that just part of that, like having to be with some roster changes and deciding to go ahead and put TTV Vigo's court on the bench, or?
I have no clue. I don't really have much say on the Survivor side of things. I'm supposed to mainly just be here to kill. Sometimes I'll get thrown in on Survivor, like last week on Demise when we wanted to try and gun for the win, and then today to seal it. But for the most part, I just let them do whatever they want to do on Survivor. I let them tell me what the plan is for Killer, and I just go with whatever they want to do. Today, the Blight pick, though, was a little bit of my influence because I was way more confident on Blight. But
I mean, Ironworks is a decent Blight map, honestly. It's one that it's almost like Suffo Pit, right? Suffo Pit's very strong for Blight as well.
yeah, it's different, but having the mobility on that big of a map is always just really nice to have. You can get downs really quick and hook in 3 gens. You could also not even have necessarily a 3-gen, but still kind of have a 3-gen because you're playing Blight, so it kind of works out way better.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people lately. I saw you do it a couple of times. We saw earlier in the Arctic Wolves game where you're really utilizing that double speed, doing 2 or 3 bounces so that you can catapult yourself.
Yeah, normally I don't really run double speed on Blight. I've started to run it more so. It kind of depends on the map for me, on what I run. Sometimes I'll run compound, sometimes I'll run double speed. The map of Ironworks just made more sense for me to run double speed, so that's what I went with.
Nice. Anything else from you, Q?
No, honestly, I think that wraps up as far as any questions I have. I just know that I'm going to be really excited to see kind of, I shouldn't even say kind of, I'm going to be really excited to see what your team does here with the momentum you guys can build off this win. I think you guys are moving into a very winnable portion of your guys' schedule and then going to be maybe even able to make a push into the playoffs at the end of the season. So I'm excited for you guys. Is there anything that you want to say to like the fans of Outlaws or just the Vigo's Corp before you guys get out of here?
Thank you all for watching. Ultra's really weird. Jake's really weird. Kat, I love you. Julian, I love you. But yeah, that's about it. Midas, you're okay, but you're also from Fortnite, so it doesn't really matter.
Would you say that he's ultra weird or?
Yes, that kid is the weirdest kid I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't care what anyone said. No, Jake and then Ultra. It goes Jake, King of Weird, and then Ultra. It rubs off onto Ultra. It's horrible.
Okay.
You don't want to be in a VC with both of them. It's bad. Don't do it.
Well, awesome. Well, we look forward to again seeing what you guys are able to do as far as building off the momentum with this. And unless you have any other questions, Fear.
Not a question, just a comment. Like, this was a very good game to watch. The back and forth. I'm excited because you guys play again in a couple weeks. So
Week
I'm excited to
9.
see what happens then.
Wait, we play this team again?
Yeah, week
Yep.
9.
What's the map?
That'll be on Dead Dog.
Oh, I got a surprise on Dead Dog, baby. I already got a play. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness. All right, Q-Top. You have yourself a good night, homie.
You too. Thank you, guys.
Well,
Good one.
Fear, I think that wraps up week 5 for us here on Vigo. It's kind of crazy.
You know, it really, really is. And, today was a long day, but it was a good day. We had some technical issues and all, but I mean, overall, there was a lot of good games. And we will see Outlaws of the Fog convicted of murder, 62-47 against the Hookers.
All right. And chat, we appreciate you guys hanging here. Do make sure you stick around for the raid. Remember, that's a way for our scene here, as well as, what we're doing here to make some connections elsewhere. Also, make sure you smack the follow button. Make sure the notifications on. And don't forget till we catch y'all back here. All right. For real, with everything crazy going on in the world today. Be true. Be you. Be sincere. Game hard and love hard. All right. Yo, that's Fear. I'm Q. Peace.
Later. Take care of each other.